We are live. Greetings and salutations from Kay's Table with GM Greg today for episode 9 of the Solar Coalitions of this saga. Yeah, I can talk. Sorry about the no notice or schedule, but life is fucked up and we play whenever we get a chance to. So, last time when we left off,
last session,
we raided a space station.
A lot happened.
It blew up.
We went to a long-lost space station where we encountered an AI on the verge of going kind of nuts, and a very creepy inhabitant who turned out to be evil, and trapped the entire party in the space station with the intent of blowing them up and escaping to the moon. He only succeeded at one of those things. You guys got some loot and some information about other stuff, including a bunch of nanotech stuff at the very end. And after that, you guys were just kind of en route to the next colony. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that covers most of it.
Yeah, Fee got a dog.
Oh yeah, there was a dog.
I didn't get a dog.
Right, Andy stole the dog.
Oh yeah.
I just need an excuse to get him on the ship at the end. That's all.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't chase the cat.
Oh, I'm going to make some rolls for that when we get into the session.
See? Low rolls.
I'll weaponize my bad rolls against you.
AI Spectre Plasma Dog versus...
Winged cat.
The ultimate battle.
That sounds like a mini kaiju fight right there.
Alright, so...
I would definitely videotape it while my ship's probably getting ready to dislodge at any time for when they end up blowing up the ship.
I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility.
Crazy vibrating duck gets it. It was like,
yeah.
that would destroy the ship right there. 3 enhanced creatures, all now with perfect vision. Now that duck is like, I am a pilot.
That duck can see the truths of the universe.
And
And also breathe fire.
Also breathe fire casually.
And has visions of Duck all orange for some reason.
Alright, so in game it's probably been about a day since you guys had the whole encounter at the Freeman Hope space station. You're still probably about a day out from the next space colony, where you're just sort of docking for probably not even the whole day, just a basic check-in, so they can also send a security detail with you guys for the rest of your journey, because they're now very worried about your safety.
Why?
After you guys basically got doxxed last session.
And did they have any luck tracking the signature and stuff that we sent them
Make some rolls for that.
for Wraith Boy? See, here's where low rolls are not going to help us.
They had a trace on his signal for a bit, but by the time they caught up to his little vessel, it seems like he had vacated it. Slunk away to somewhere else, probably.
Okay.
Probably
got picked up.
took possession of another ship or something.
Well, the motor race picked him up, probably.
Or yeah, or someone picked him up.
That signal was probably some code.
They found his
message
ship,
when
they
we
didn't
need
find him. He rolled really high on his stuff.
Okay. And any response from the video that I put out showing what he looked like and be on the lookout for this guy? The APB from What the Fuck? With the bounty on his head?
You've gotten a couple inquiries from, like, a couple of bounty hunters who aren't really in the right area, but heard about the high price, but no, like, big shots. No Boba Fett's knocking at your door, unfortunately.
Well, call me when you can bring me his head.
You get a lot of okays. If you look into it further, you'll find out these guys are all, like, very much beginner bounty hunters. We're like, oh, hey, this is a really big job for the Coalition and this popular dude. We should do that. What's the mission?
Yeah, go for it. Let's weed him out.
At the very least, your corpse will act as breadcrumbs to lead us to him.
Yeah, and if you survive, then you go up in rank real quick.
Yeah, and then you get some reports from the Coalition about how, despite the lull in Lunar Wraith activity from the various blows that this party has struck to them over the past 5 sessions alone, there's been sort of a spike ever since that message. They say that they think the organization is kind of fracturing out in different directions between the current leadership and this guy resurfacing.
So the activity is probably like fractional damage because of the disputes between
The
different
lunar
factions.
wraiths are a lot more active, but they're also a lot more messy.
So that probably means they're fighting amongst each other.
They might be too distracted with infighting to actually go after you guys.
Understood. I relay everything back to command and
Yep.
tell them that the Freeman Hope Station was destroyed.
Yeah, you gave a report at the end of the last session.
Yep.
The coalition, they thank you for like solving this 80-year-long case. They say they'll try to see if they can add some nice words to the records of everyone involved. Yeah, you guys have the run of the ship till you get to the next colony. You guys got a couple of things from the station, if there was anything anyone wanted to experiment with.
The stuff that I got is going to take a lot more materials than I have with me to do much of anything with. Because if I'm going to make like a ion power generator from scratch to give me some type of energy upgrade,
Oh yeah, it's gonna
or
take,
energy shields,
it's gonna take a little while.
okay, that's a shitload of technology, that's a shitload of building, and that's a shitload of expensive parts, I'm sure. So I will download it all into my ship's mainframe and make a couple copies of the tech as well.
Okay.
To hide around. I will not put it on the channel or any other public domain. I might touch base with the scientist guy in the ship
Oh, okay.
and get his kind of take on some of it.
Oh, the mechanic?
Yeah.
Alright. Sure, I'll have him do a once over of it. Oh, damn. He looks over if you're like sending him schematics and stuff for this whole ion engine energy stuff.
Yeah.
He says that it's fully doable. Technology is pretty old by today's standards, so it's relatively uncommon. The hardest part would probably be tracking down all the parts for it.
Right. Would it give me an actual energy upgrade compared to the systems that we use
Yeah,
now?
if you were to add it on to your existing ship, in addition to the because smaller ships, the big ships run on a
I'm planning for a bigger ship later on.
okay. The way it works is the bigger ships run on a solar power engine and then a compressed hydrogen one that are sort of like running off of each other, while the smaller ones just run on hydrogen because they don't need as much force.
Okay.
If you were to add this ionic one on top of that, you'd have not only just a significant increase in like general speed and whatnot and functions being better. If you wanted to, you could probably find a way to reroute it through systems, given the modular function of your ship, to enable maybe some sort of shielding, like an actual energy shield, perhaps.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Or maybe some sort of energy-related weaponry if you wanted to weaponize it.
Probably make a tractor beam.
Probably make a tractor beam. It's just a matter of getting the parts and then figuring out what you want to do with it.
All right.
He does offer his services to help out. He knows that your ship is pretty self-sufficient, but
Fantastic. You know, let me know when I get my next piece of equipment.
but yeah, he seems pretty open to the idea of helping with that if need be.
Okay. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my time working on the channel and looking for old, out of use, or cheaply salvageable, like, freight ships.
Freighters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, large scale, like,
Make an investigation
even
roll.
if it's just a shell.
Make an investigation roll.
With the ship, I get advantage.
Yep, you have your lucky thing that you can spend.
That is fucking unbelievable. I rolled a 10 on each.
Okay. Well, that's right down the middle.
Balanced.
So that would be a 12.
All right. So with a 12, you find pretty easily basically a used car salesman, but for these big-ass military ships. However, it's very much used, as in these are a lot of very big ships that in their prime were probably of a similar
But
class
now they're
and
just basically
size.
shells.
They're shells. You find that the cheapest ones are surprisingly affordable, but they also don't have engines.
I was kind of expecting that.
If you wanted to find something a lot more intact that you'd have to put a lot less effort into, it would require further research and maybe reaching out to a couple of contacts.
Okay. But
Not a lot of people outside of the Coalition have use for these giant freighters, so they're a little rare, especially in like good condition.
you know, even 2 shells, put them together, stick in a decent engine system, and
Yeah,
well, just start off with 1.
if you wanted to get a shell, you could look into that if you wanted to.
I would need a dock and everything else to do it, and that's a lot of work to take into place that I'm not sure where we're going to be after we do this mission.
Okay.
So I'm just putting out feelers to start
Yeah.
planning and ideas.
Could also put a word in with some of your business associates and see if they could find anything.
Yeah.
Do you want this one?
Not.
That's
I'll
good.
call the drone company as part of that.
Okay.
I also want to end up ordering another 100 drones.
100 drones?
Yeah. Well, of the smaller ones.
Of the smaller ones, okay.
Yeah. Because I realized that I actually only have 25 of the smaller ones.
Do you guys remember how much I charged for those smaller
Yep.
drones?
So for 100 of them, I'd be looking at 5,000 credits.
Damn, I made those cheap.
Yep.
You could absolutely order 100 drones. I don't think you could store 100 drones on the current ship.
That's fully understandable.
Um,
I'm not ordering them for delivery right now.
Okay.
So you're pre-ordering them
Yeah.
just to buy them so
Okay.
they can be delivered
Okay.
later to the
I
location.
so I
totally
have
see it.
100
I get it.
drones.
'Cause
to
I
be
get it.
delivered.
I get your concern too, because I would even say like, dude, that's 100 boxes this big. I don't give a shit how
25
big your ship
drones
is.
is like
That's 100 boxes.
I mentioned
That's-
before they exist in the ship on basically like a wall that's turned into a drone cubby. That's
Yep.
probably the whole wall right there.
Yeah, so I was gonna say
100
100 drones. That'd
100
be a lot.
would be
How are we
like
gonna space
covering
that
the
shit?
outside. No, I get it though.
On order, so I can get them so that I have them to replace ones that might get destroyed. Or
Yeah, okay.
when I get the actual freighter, I'm gonna need a shitload of drones in order to do the repairs and work on it.
Okay. So I'll say around that point, a couple hours later, a hail goes out on just sort of a general channel, as far as communicators go. You all basically just receive a little ding on your individual communicator devices. Even yours manages to pick it up. That just someone's trying to say something to anyone who might be listening.
Does it have an SOS code? That'd probably be before.
No SOS code. It's just a general like inquiry.
Open channel com. Okay, I'll listen to it.
Hello, this is a pre-recorded message from Barrack Clone Industries. I have sent out this remotely piloted cryopod with 4 clones for delivery to a... And then like a really computery voice kicks in, like Siri basically. What's your character's name? Like full name?
Charlotte Coswell.
I have sent this out for delivery to Charlotte Coswell. If Charlotte Coswell is listening, please link up with this and guide it to your ship for delivery. And then just sort of repeats. And if you were to look on like a sensor, you could see
I'll
like,
check the- I'll
like
check
a very
the radar.
small vessel is just sort of wandering aimlessly through this sector of space with some lights going
I
on
think
it
that's your clones.
and a logo.
Your test subjects.
Remember the 4 clones that you bought for experimentation?
Yeah.
I'll
realized that
let
it
the
had been a
pilot
while
know
now.
that this is an expected supply delivery. Is that exactly how I word that?
Does she need to open the comm to answer it?
Uh,
Or
yeah, you'd probably need to like open the comm, link up with, just send out like a basically GPS location.
does she need to join
Sure.
9?
Plus your intelligence, right? Or something like that?
11?
So you guys get a second hail on general frequency of just the ship's current location.
She doesn't know how to use this technology.
The pilot chimes in over ship comms like, I know that we have a Charlotte on board. If you can hear me, Charlotte, do you want me to just guide that to our ship for you?
Does she need to go down to there? Or is there any
No,
way
you
that she
hear that
can-
come over your communicator just saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll bring those guys in.
You want me to salvage them?
We don't know if that's okay yet. We don't want to piss off the clone man. He'd
So-
have lots of soldiers, dude.
So
Lots
the-
of soldiers.
The pilot clicks on the keyboard for anyone who would be in the the main deck of the ship right now, and you guys can see on it sensors and eventually windows as this little, basically, pod sort of just comes up next to a hatch on the side of the ship, clicks into place. I'd say basically right here. So right behind your bubble ship. And then the door just sort of opens, and the pod is there.
Alright, I'll meet it with Dara.
You wanna go as well?
Yeah.
So you guys go to this hatch that's been open. Didn't even know there was a hatch here in the bedroom, the dorms, which is a little concerning that there's just a door there. But whatever. And you look into this. You look into this pod, and this pod is not very big. It's probably like the size of this room, and it's just got 4 basically 6-foot tall cryopods with these very big beefy clones in it.
Does it have a register of atmosphere in there so we can go in?
Oh yeah, the door opens and there's
Okay.
air inside.
Alright, we'll walk in and
It's gonna be so beautiful.
these poor guys.
They all have like levers and stuff, so you can like drag them out.
Yep,
there.
I drag them out. I'll Dara can take one. We can just take them out
Yeah,
and
there's
ask.
there's 4 things
Is
total.
there one more there?
There's 4. I call out as I
Oh,
bring
you
them
said
out.
you were gonna take 2, right?
Well, yeah, me and Dara. We'll take 1 each.
Dara takes 2.
Okay.
Oh,
She
shit,
doesn't really
okay.
struggle with it.
I'll man up and I'll take 2. At that point.
She will fight you for this.
No.
Uh,
Where do we want to bring the subjects? I ask you. Your ship?
Yeah, into the bubble.
Okay.
So you guys wheel them through the hallways.
Yep.
Hit a couple of overhanging lights at one point because these clones are very tall.
Yep.
So the boxes are very big, and you wheel them into the Coswald bubble ship.
Yep.
You see there's a very clear big blue button on the sides of these with "Dethaw" written on it in big bold letters as if it's meant to be operated by people who don't fully understand the process.
I laugh because it's so
They
accurate.
basically look like, the clones basically look like they've been cryogenically frozen inside action figure packaging
That is
that
hilarious.
has big blue buttons on it.
So
I
once,
wish
once
my tech had been that nice.
yeah, right. So once we got them in the room, we'll just line them up and then click the buttons for Dethaw.
You know, then click, 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 and you see the packaging pretty much opens itself, and you see all the blue of the window sort of fade, and any ice that's in there melt, and the door opens. And
envisioning Han Solo melting from carbon.
it's very
Kinda, yeah, that's what I was
carbon.
seeing.
It's very carbonite-ish. One of the clones is like so. But it thaws, and the doors basically just spit the clones out onto the floor.
I'll move out of the way. and then
So
hook
these
them up.
four, two guys, 2 girls, these 4 like 6'5" very beefy clones just sort of get vomited onto the floor by these cryopods. And let's make some rolls for how they're feeling.
She has her staff and she's just gonna.
Sam, make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh no.
13 plus 5, 18.
Okay, I rolled a nat 1 for how these guys are feeling. So one of the dudes who you recognize is looking very much like the other barracks who were at the guys, or at the guy's station, stands up. It's like, and he goes to punch you, like, threat, and you completely dodge it, but big ass fist just whiffs by you.
Can I make an intimidation check as I pull my baton out from its holster and hold it to the side of his head?
Go ahead.
Not very intimidating. I think that's
That's
probably
not
going to
very
be a 6.
Shit, my bad rolls are fucking you guys up today.
Do I see him?
Yeah, you see
Go
one. You
punch
see
him.
one of these very big clones just stand up and try to punch him.
Can I sort of poke him in the side with the stun part of my staff?
Make a roll.
We don't
It's a thrust
we're not
Just
friendly.
a melee attack.
A melee attack.
I'm glad
What
that
do I add?
you've affirmed that. That's
What
all
do I
that
add?
matters.
For a melee attack, that'll be
Yeah.
Dex and Con, I think.
Dex and con. 22.
Yeah. So he's just sort of here, completely like out of his mind, like very much in Clone Wars when that
Honestly.
one clone loses his mind,
Yeah.
and then he's just like, threats. Where am I? I was on the station, and then he just literally freezes up like he's being tased, and then falls over. And then the other guy clone gets up, he's like, whoa, where the fuck are we? Hey, 43, wake up! He sort of gives the tased guy a kick. Like, oh, he's dead.
Is he really dead? Okay.
That's just
I'm
sort
not
of-
about to check his
That's
pulse.
just,
I'm
sort
like,
of the,
shit!
that's just sort of their reaction. You can see him, the guy breathing on the ground.
Oh, okay.
It's like, all right, My mental implant is telling me that we're supposed to answer to a Charlotte Coswald.
That's
Oh, okay,
I point.
I thought that was you. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Barrick62. Me and my buddies here, and he sort of gestures to the two ones that are still waking up and the one that was tased. We were sent here because you purchased us. So just to give you the sort of user license agreement that we all memorize at birth.
So we're gonna rename you Tweedledee, Tweedledum.
No, I'm gonna give them appropriate names.
Alright, so just to read you the sort of user's license
Fine.
agreement. We
Yeah,
are...
Your name is Gerald.
Alright, I guess I'm Gerald now.
Write down the names. These are gonna be more NPCs we don't need. But I have a Tweedledum and a Tweedledee mini, which I'm really thinking about grabbing right now. If these are gonna be NPCs, damn it, they need custom minis.
So I guess I'm Jared now. That's cool. So
Me as a guy, right?
yeah, this is
Okay.
one of the
Name the
dudes.
other guy Sally.
What's the other guy?
He's 40. He's 42.
They're all Barrick.
I mean, we're all called Barrick, and then we have like a batch number that we have attached to us, so we don't really have like real person names.
I'm giving you at least a first name.
Cool. I like names.
Okay.
So according to
See
the
if he
user
remembers
license
it.
agreement, we are basically legally bound to you now, almost for comparison like children are. So you kind of have legal responsibility over us. That doesn't mean that you can still do whatever the fuck you want. If
I'm
you're
a mom.
if you're just here to like kill us for sport, that's cool. We're cool
Oh
with
no,
that.
you won't come anywhere close to death, but it'll feel like it. Okay.
Cool. But yeah,
Squad.
so we're basically in your care, but feel
I'm
free
calling the
to.
other guy Pansy.
Hey, Pansy, wake up! And he gives the guy a kick. On a nat 20, Pansy, because that's his name now, got up. He's like, "Yes, sir," or "Yes, ma'am." That is my name now, I guess. Then one of the female ones wakes up and says, "Hello, sir." They all have the same gruff voice. Merely because I don't want to distinguish them any other way.
Okay.
They are clones.
Hello, sir. It's probably actually a bit more like higher pitched, but I'm not going to try that because my voice is going to crack. The other one gets up, and you now have 4 very tall, very buff clones saluting you, basically.
And 2 are female.
Yeah.
Gerald and Pansy.
Yep.
And Pansy's the guy.
Yep.
So we're just sort of here to do whatever the hell you say. We literally cannot disobey you. It is, we are coded to follow your every command.
Okay.
So,
Don't swing at anyone on the ship, because if you do, I'll tase you guys. Like I did with Pansy.
yes, sir. They're all very affirmative. Pansy is like, yes, sir.
Okay.
He's still a little jittery from being tased.
Ah,
You'll
train the
walk it
pets when
off.
they're
You'll be
young.
okay.
You'll lock it off, soldier. The others all
That's
kind of
pretty
give him. They each give him a smack on the back. So by the third one, he's kind of like, ah. But yeah, we're here. If you want to make us kill things or hunt for sport or.
No, you guys are gonna help me with my cosmetics. I am going to be putting makeup on all of you. It's nanotech makeup. I'm gonna
Make you
beautify
pretty.
you all.
Wow, I think in the history of our business, no one's ever really had that sort of purpose for buying clones. But that's cool. We're here for it, right, guys? Yeah.
The same phrase repeated. That's echo. That's awesome. Goon Squad.
Pansy's like, I want to be pretty. I like this idea. I'm trying to gain favor with the boss after trying to punch that guy.
Perfect.
I do not know what makeup is.
Okay, well then come over here. What's your favorite
He
color?
walks over.
Watercolors.
Oh god. Okay, so she has a few. So she's gonna hold up Dara blue, and then she's going to hold up her salmon color hair color. Which of these two? Or I can make a new one. If you see anything on the ship that looks like something you like a color, just let me know and I could try to.
I like this one. He points to the blue one.
Corn.
Okay. So she's going to take out the needle, which is a long needle.
Oh, you're using the needle for this.
Yep. And she's going to dye his hair.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's a
so
mild procedure.
So,
She's
red.
gonna see how a clone's skin reacts
Yeah,
to
so-
nanotech dye.
Pansy, because I guess that's his name now, he just sort of like sits down like on his knees and because he's very tall, and he lets you do the thing,
And if you itch it, I'll smack your hands. Don't touch it. Don't touch your head at all after.
I've done there, then make this a disadvantage. You turn around and you immediately can see out of your peripheral that his hand is going up.
Okay, she's gonna turn around and just sort of like raise the staff a bit.
Are you hitting him with it?
Nope, I'm not hitting
Okay,
him.
so
It's like an intimidation.
That's intimidation.
Intimidation.
Then, yeah. Yep.
Intimidation. What do I add for intimidation? I
think
don't
it's
intimidate
charisma.
this guy at all. Charisma? How's a whole 10?
Would she get advantage on that since she's
Yeah, since I tased
their
him
owner?
before.
Oh yeah, because you tased him and B, you're
and
his
warned
owner,
him
so.
that she would slap him if he touched his hair?
So yeah, roll again. I'll say with
15!
that you did beat him. I roll with disadvantage and that beats both. So you raise it a little bit and his hands immediately shoot into his pockets.
That's good.
And the other three are just sort of chuckling at him. The same sort of like sort of laugh.
The first one to laugh is the one that gets the skin treatment.
I want to come up with the camo one first before I test it on someone.
Oh god.
Well, if you're on a forest planet and you can do temporary that shit, that would be
Yeah.
kind of cool for
So,
a few minutes.
You just sort of have these four.
Yeah, me
sitting
and
around
Dara are
now.
gonna leave because
Yeah.
at this point this is all just like, yeah, this is morally great.
Clones are legal. This is a fully legal process. It's no legality in question here. The coalition doesn't.
Legality wasn't in question.
No,
It was
no.
morality.
The,
Yeah, the
the coalition
morality.
fully employs clones in certain jobs that are kind of too shitty for real people to use.
That's true, but the last experiments you saw done on people ended up with Freeman Hope.
Alright, so I will say, I'll make a roll for how the stuff affects the clone biology.
She's just gonna take notes on it.
He vomits. He just sort of doubles over and vomits, and his vomit is blue. But then his hair starts changing.
She's going to avoid the blue vomit, but also take note of it. And then she's going to start feeling the hair and see how the texture is. If it still feels like human hair or if it feels gritty.
Do your nanites clean your ship?
Hmm?
Do your nanites clean your ship?
They never used to.
Okay.
Remember how she was just living in filth with the bodies of her parents?
So that puddle of puke is going to sit there forever.
So, although his reaction to it wasn't particularly
She'll make
good,
it clean it.
I rolled a nat 20 on how well it worked. So his hair is pristine. It is that nice shade of navy blue. It feels like hair. It's maybe even fluffier than it was before.
Nice. You're one step closer to being beautiful, Pansy.
He's still sort of coughing a little bit, like, thank you, boss.
And after you're done throwing up, could you please clean up your throw up?
Sure. He just sort of stands up and, like, just starts wiping with his hands.
These very dumb clones.
Do we have mops? Is that a thing?
She's looking at the drone that you gave to her. Do we have a mop?
There's a mop 2 feet to the side from him.
I'll clean it up because I don't want him touching it with his throw uppy hands.
His hands are not very blue.
Okay. Does she need to get the mop wet?
I will just say it's some sort of futuristic mop that doesn't need
Okay.
that sort of thing.
Okay, so I'm just gonna assume
it's
it's
a
already
super
clean.
Swiffer.
Yeah,
Hold out your hands.
he holds out his hands.
She's just gonna clean his hands with the mop.
Yeah, it comes off. Before that, I will say he walks over to, what was the other one's name?
Slightly radiates his
Gerald.
hands.
He walks over to Gerald and they high five and his hand's blue now. He's like, oh, sorry. It's okay, man.
It's like a proud goon squad. I don't
Yeah.
know.
We didn't have enough idiots on the ship, so I had to make up for that.
Larry, Moaning, Curly. And Shep.
But yeah, the clones are here now, and you can do whatever sort of experiments on them you want. I will say eventually the barrack barrack company pod thing, the door's shut, and on that general purpose comms channel, there's a message that goes up that says, hello, this is I lost the voice. Hello, this is an automated message from Barrack of the Barrack Clone Corporation. This delivery has been completed. The ship will now detach from your vessel. It will fly out about a mile westward, and then it will explode. So Do not be a mile westward from, then it lists off coordinates and stuff like that in a robotic voice, unless you want to explode, in which case, have a wonderful time. To the...
He's a really crazy clone.
It's not a very cost-effective way to deliver.
To the person or individual who made this purchase, I hope you enjoy your clones. Hopefully they do not die quickly. And please consider shopping with us again. If you would like to make a purchase on our online store, use the following code for a discount. And then it gives off like a code, and the thing detaches and blasts away.
Okay.
And then like 5 minutes later, you see a little ding in the distance from it exploding. I imagine maybe it's like a last transmission on that general purpose comms thing. There's like a little emoji of like a saluting soldier from the ship as it explodes.
I believe it. Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, the barracks are here. Everyone heard those messages, by the way. That wasn't just like a you thing. So a lot of people on the ship are chuckling to themselves because crazy old man.
Yeah, crazy, really old man. Yeah, so, alright. Anything else going on the ship? Anything we're going to 25, right?
Yep. Sam,
Yes.
you get a communication from Dr. Gallister.
I'll head down to the engineering medical science lab.
So you walk into the room and you can see these two working on the engines. What was the dog's name?
Bingo.
Bingo is just in the corner, and you can see the child whose name I forget. I'm sorry.
Amy.
Amy, thank you. I'm sorry.
Close.
I'm terrible with names. You see Amy just sort of watching the crew chief working and just sort of analyzing and whatnot. Then you see Dr. Gallister just sort of turn around like, Ryan, my boy, come on in. I have a surprise I'd like to give you.
Sounds good.
I know that,
Cautiously head forward, look around for a duck container.
The duck container is away.
Okay, good.
I know Security Chief Peters is much more of the weaponsmith sort of type. I know he built that fancy laser sword for you. But I thought I'd give an attempt at it with my expertise and whatnot. And I made you this. And he turns around and then turns back around. And he gives you a box. It's a little cube-shaped box.
Oh, take said box.
When you're in trouble, open the box, take the thing in the box out, squeeze it once, throw it.
I'll shake his hand and thank him.
Make sure you're not near where it is after you throw it. Because I don't think I need to specify why.
Yep, no, that's fine. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let me know about its effectivity once you use it. If you survive using it. By taking this thing, you've absolved me of any, by taking it willingly, you have absolved me of any guilt or legal repercussions from misuse. So have a good day and use it wisely. Or don't. I don't care. I'd like to hear about how it went.
Will do. Thank you, Doctor. I'll shake his hand and head out.
He turns back around.
I'll cautiously put that box in my pocket.
You're gonna look in it?
Yeah, I'll look in it. He didn't say I couldn't open it. So
So
once
you
I make
open
sure
it?
he's not paying attention, I'll
Oh, no,
open
he
it
turns
up.
back around and he's making something else.
Okay, I'll open it up. Is it kind of like a grenade of some kind?
It's a frog.
I will close that
It's
box
a-
and I'll secure
It
said
is a
box.
frog about this big. It is very round. It's a very fat frog. It's bright red.
I'm gonna make a history check. I'm from the moon. Do I even know what a frog is?
Okay, no, so it's not a frog, Sam. It is a weird-ass amphibious creature, the
Oh,
likes
no,
of
I
which
get
you've
that. I get,
never
I got it.
seen.
Like,
No.
I'm just curious. I
No,
wanted
yeah,
to see the
to
history
you-
check.
To you, it's a weird-ass amphibious creature, the likes of which you've never seen. It's bright red. It croaks, just sort of like a ribbit. I can't make frog noises.
That was a good attempt, though. I gotta give you that, man. So, my character, after seeing this weird amphibious creature thing...
It doesn't move. It's just sort of in this box.
I will accept that this is a weird ship and secure the box and pocket the box. And then out of the room.
So yeah, at that point you guys carry on. The ship keeps going. I think you're docked to the bottom still, not flying on your own.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you'd like with the clones in regards to getting them all customized and whatnot.
Should see if it's a special toad. Have one of the barracks lick it.
They would.
The instructions you were given is that you were to take it out,
And
squeeze it, and then throw it.
Yeah, true.
So who knows what happened if one of them licked it?
Or of course these big dumb drones are gonna be like, crack. It's like,
I mean, do you wanna?
I'll use it for its intended purpose and then the opportunity arrives. So
Okay.
In my inventory.
And yeah, so you guys carry on for...
Loading frog grenade.
Frog grenade.
Instead of a frag grenade, it's a frog grenade.
That's actually funny. An old wet textbook from like 2120 he found.
Oh, I read something.
Water.
I read something here
FRG.
about a type of grenade. The words were a little crossed out, but I think it was a frog grenade.
No, in this world I could actually see that shit. Like he had an old textbook that got wet at one point, so that one reference to a frag grenade was water stained.
Or watching
grenade.
What the Fuck channel and there's someone that's like, throw the frog grenade. With an accent.
Oh, did he say frog grenade? I can make that. Have that done in a day. I've made fire-breathing ducks. I can make exploding frogs.
This doctor's fucking crazy. We love him.
Yes,
but-
yes.
I mean, give me my kitty. I love Fluffy.
You have a mad scientist on board.
I know, I love Fluffy.
So yeah, you guys carry on for a couple more hours. In the distance, you can see the bright, shining light of the next colony. At this point, it's getting very easy to spot them. From a distance, they kind of look like stars, except they're kind of a bluish shade of light instead of a truly like white one. You can see it in the distance. There you go. Everyone make a dex save.
9.
15.
21.
So as the ship is cruising along and you're just doing your normal activities.
Do I need to roll for the 4 of them?
Fail. Fail. Fail.
We used to roll for him.
Fail.
They go flying.
Six.
So as the ship is just sort of cruising along, all of a sudden it jerks violently like this as emergency thrusters engage to push it out of the way of something that zooms overhead by you guys. You're fine. You're sitting down at your desk doing paperwork, I assume, so you're just sort of like a...
Oh shit, scan that fucking thing. What is it?
Sam, what did you roll?
9.
Fail. Fee, what did you roll?
15.
Fail. Alright, so, you are full on knocked on your ass. You would have fallen on your ass, but all the Barrett clones sort of piled together when they fell down, so you just sort of land comfortably on them.
She's just gonna relax.
They're fine. One of them was like, I hit the head.
Go be
Hi,
fine.
Skull. 197012.
Is that,
What
Tom?
is that? Is that a
Joe?
new person?
I don't know if it's either of them. It sounds like a Tom name. But-
So yeah, nothing...
Yep,
Ultra-
it's Tom.
Oh, okay. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
So nothing ultra bad happens, but you're all shaken violently as the ship makes some sort of emergency maneuver to dodge whatever the hell flew overhead. You ask your ship to figure out what it is.
Yeah. What the fuck was that?
A screen comes up and you can see what looks like the wreckage of probably another ship of the same class as the Anchor, just sort of, and then stop and start free floating.
And came through at like super speed though.
Yeah, it seems like the engines just died, like that was their last burst. It sort of flies out, probably in comparison to where that fan is. And I know that's a terrible way of describing it for the people watching the
And
stream.
scaling. But
Yeah, so it's probably about, like, comparatively to the map, about 6 feet out that way. You just see the engines die, and it just sort of starts to enter free float.
Yeah, so from your angle on the camera, if you say to the white curtain over on that wall,
Yeah, pretty much.
that would make probably the best sense.
Yeah. So it just sort of stops as its thrusters and engine die, and it enters just sort of a free float.
So Joe's watching too, and he says that no, it's not. He's lying.
Wait,
Apparently,
what?
it's not Tom.
Oh. Hello, mysterious person.
I think it's just Joe being Joe.
Oh, okay. But yeah, your ship picks up the image of its thrusters dying, and it just sort of enters dead space.
It is Tom.
So much conflict today. Pretty quickly, screens all across the anchor all start portraying pretty much the same image, just from a slightly different angle of this big cruiser-type ship just to a close.
Oh, pretty.
It's smoking up the sides. You see the thrusters are pretty broken up, and shrapnel sort of starts to spread as the fire from them begins to die.
First thing I'm going to do once I get off my ass is call up the, Rantic Bridge pilot status report.
Click. Well, we managed to dodge that incoming vessel. It was going stupidly fast, and with all these extra vessels attached to ours, it was kind of a tricky maneuver.
Actually, I can buy that. When I think about it, you got 3 ships hanging off.
Yeah, we have 3
yours.
ships hanging off this already very large, very slow one. But that came out of nowhere. It must have been going top speed, probably.
Good job, pilot. Reach out with hails to any incoming ships.
Will do. You should come to the bridge just so we can manage the situation better. So that goes through.
It says dive.
Just sort of a general message comes over the comms just saying, "Attention all passengers, we are taking a momentary break from our voyage to get a handle on the current situation before we resume."
Salvage?
The automated voice over the PA does not answer that question.
I'll run up to the
It
bridge.
says, please wait for official orders to come through.
I'll get Dara, Jenkins, and Reynolds. Tell them to prep for possible attack if it's a trap, lunar wraiths.
They're all like, yes sir, and whatnot, and they run off to go do their things. The barracks do eventually, they help you to your feet, and they all get up themselves. They're like, are we being attacked? What's going on?
I have no idea. I'll be right back, and I'm just gonna go out.
Yeah, you walk out to see him organizing all of his troops, basically.
Is everything okay?
A ship just came into a line of movement for the ship, and we had to basic maneuver. Looks severely damaged, but not sure if it might be a trap. Be ready.
Okay.
Just nod her, then make my way to the bridge.
Yep. You can follow behind if you'd like.
Yeah.
As you get to the bridge, you can see the captain going over things on the screen in front of him and logging certain things. The pilot is checking some screens and trying to maneuver the ship so that the scanners have a better angle.
I'm having my ship scan everything, all the information I could possibly
All
get
right,
off.
I'll make a roll for the anchor and a roll for the what the fuck. The what the fuck rolled moderately better, but still bad.
I do have old sensors.
Yeah.
I have brand new computer equipment, but old sensors.
So the pilot mentions that it seems like our scanner got fucked up when I made that maneuver. Can't really get a good read beyond its basic specs.
My next thought would be to radio into the crew chief. The scanner's got decalibrated. Can you reset them?
Sure thing. Andy, get ready for a spacewalk. No, put the cat down. We're going out. And then there's just sort of some static and arguing, and it's like, we'll get it handled. And line goes dead. Your ship manages to get a little bit more. The anchor rolled a nat one. So
we decalibrated in that maneuver.
that kind of... Probably some shrapnel flew off as it was going overhead, but since you're underneath the bridge, you were fine. So the AI gets back to you. You have general specs and whatnot. It is a large frigate-type ship, similar to the anchor, basically. But it's not a military vehicle. It's probably a civilian or owned by some sort of private one. It has no markings or insignias or...
Okay, any sign of life?
Says it can't pick up on signs of life because there's a lot of degrading energy signals from all the different power dying across the ship. It can tell that the engines are just fully dead at this point. They probably burned out of their last cell. So it's dead in the ground.
All right, so once we get a little bit closer, because I'm sure they're going to...
Yeah, the guys upstairs are probably going to want to check in.
Send out one of the big boys to go and do a better scan and take a look and see what's going on.
I can send those out now if you want.
Sure.
So the little cubbies where the drones are, one of the big guys comes out. It goes down into the basement. You hear Dimitri and Lugnut go, "Whoa, what the fuck?" As it goes into basically the supply closet that is the in between space and outside, and it gets ejected outside. You see it float around the main screen of the cockpit. You guys can probably see it go out just a little bit towards it, and it pretty
this
much.
point, my character expects it.
Yeah,
It's,
you guys.
if anything here beeps says, can I get the video feed? I'm looking for any type of military
You guys on the
damage.
bridge see one of his drones just sort of fly out towards it and go around, and you can see some scanners scanning it as it takes a little bit to get out there, like 5 minutes of
It's
travel.
cruising.
It's slowed down a bit by now. You think that probably as part of that final burst, it tried to slow itself to a stop, but it is drifting slowly by this point. But the drone gets out there. I'll make a roll for the drone.
The drone has better scanning equipment than my ship, probably.
Because of that, I'll roll with advantage.
Because it was brand new, top of the line.
Yeah, so this is it would also probably have a heavy modifier if I cared to write out what its modifiers were. So the drone basically encircles the ship in like a spiral pattern, getting up to its bridge before going in the reverse way back. And as it does, you can see firsthand the sort of damage that the ship has accrued. It looks like it was pelted with shells.
Did you share the feed so I can see it? Okay.
It used to have.
That's why I'm looking militaristically. What did this damage?
It used to have armaments on it, but you can see where gunner pods probably once were just blasted off. The only remnants being the remains of little towers that are just shrapnel now. You can see
This thing's quite a bit larger than the anchor.
No,
It is more just
it has
design
gunnery
different.
towers.
or towers, but more like little like
Gunner
out,
bays.
out things, gunner
Okay.
bays. That's on me.
So like this wouldn't be a patio. This would be a gunner station. Probably is what I'm guessing.
Tower,
Um,
I'm thinking. I
yeah,
envision
that's
like
Star
Death
Destroyer.
Star.
Yeah, I
that's,
guess you. I
that's
get
my
you.
bad for not describing it
Um,
right.
But this one I see more like the B-52 gunner.
Yeah.
The
So
like
just-
gunner stations that are blasted away, and you can only tell that
Millennium Falcon.
they were probably there by the remains of like where the thing, like the base of the thing, is still
Thank
there.
you.
But they've been like torn apart by shells.
Yeah, so this
The
thing's
thrusters are
destroyed.
fully burned out. The metal is degrading fast from the hydrogen power being just evac from it, and the thrusters are basically turning to dust and shrapnel. You can see
They definitely burn themselves out.
you can see smoke starts to kind of sputter out from certain parts in the back of the ship, like 3 different streams that eventually die down as it gets to the back of the ship. And as it goes by the bridge and it does a scan of the bridge, you can see like 3 figures splayed out on the floor. Can't really make out any details because of them. It makes out a singular life sign.
So it looks like there's someone alive.
Definitely looks like it was someone to attack. This looks like shells and artillery damage targeting on the gunner bays that did the most damage. The
You would probably
fire tried to
recognize
escape.
most of the stuff about how it was damaged.
Militaristically,
and the
yeah.
gun stuff. And
I've seen this shit.
Yeah.
So
they probably served on similar types of ships, just military ones.
so they definitely put up a fight. It looks like, but they were definitely. It looks like outgunned or outnumbered. Can you make out where the life sign is? It looks like someone's alive. We should probably see if we can save them. No one deserves to die in the cold of
It's
space.
coming from the cargo bay. It's faint, so there's some sort of interference. It could be maybe the ship's shields, could be something to do with the interior environment.
What's the atmosphere situation inside of the ship? Is the hull? I mean, you said the smoke coming out of it. Is the hull generally?
There are holes like forming on it, mainly towards the back where the engines were, but the like glass of the bridge wasn't shattered. You do see a few view screens that are intact. I'm not entirely sure if the drone would be able to pick up on any sort of signs of atmosphere, unless I'm...
Yeah, it's full.
Alright, so yeah.
Scanners.
I'd say with thermal scanners, it could probably pick up signs of atmosphere in certain areas. So it seems like most of the ship still has air for now, except for down by the engines. But to use this as a comparison, if the engines are here, and the bridge is here, then the cargo bay is probably about here-ish.
The center of it.
You'd have to enter through somewhere else because it's kind of like directly in the center. But it should be in an area of the ship that has air. Power might be a problem, but if the coalition's going to send you out there for a rescue mission, basically, they're going to send you with like some door breaching gear.
So what do you say, boss? What are we supposed to do?
Well, if it's a coalition member or at least a civilian, I don't want to abandon
Well,
them.
it's a civilian ship, so that means that this is salvage now?
As long as the person in it we can rescue, I'm pretty sure the ship would just go to degrade anyway. So whatever's left is yours.
The pilot.
But we want to save the person. That's
The
our
pilot chimes
priority.
in now. I imagine as you guys are going over this, these two are talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking through the communicator.
Yeah, so the pilot and the captain have been going back and forth. All right, orders are in for the captain. He wants a small search party to go out. We can send it with we can send you guys through Space Jump, or we can, if our friends downstairs would be so inclined to drive you
Yeah,
over.
sure, I'll go over.
You are permitted to scavenge the ship after the investigation is done with, and the case is considered closed.
Okay.
But until then, please leave it as intact as you can.
Oh, definitely.
But if we can, rescue this one person inside, or at least find out what the deal is with this ship afterwards, once it's clear, it's all yours. This is the kind of junk that the Coalition wouldn't even bother scavenging for, or trying to get back.
Good to know.
Most ships like this are just left out here because space is big.
Space debris.
Usually they either just go off in some direction. On the rare occasion, one of them will make its way back to Earth through free float and burn up in the atmosphere.
So at the very least, tag it. Got it. All right.
I will say that amidst all the scans, the AI probably works out that you could get a lot of good parts from even the damaged bits. At the very least, a lot of raw material.
Yeah, I'm just thinking time for scavenging is not really going to be conducive with what everything's going on. So it might be best to just tag it and come back for it.
It is probably only like I'd say probably a 2 hours journey out from this colony that you guys are heading to if you were to punch it. So if you wanted to like tag it, head to the colony, come back. It has slowed down significantly by this point.
All right. So after that last space station, and I'm doing this right over comms, so everyone can hear it. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous about going into unknown territory. So how about this time, once we get to the airlock, we send in a few of my drones to fully scout everything out. And then try to make their way down there just to make sure the way is clear and structurally intact enough for us to get there.
I have no issue with that. So we'll use I go and secure breaching charges.
Yeah, you find some breaching charges, and I'll say like a sort of like a saw, like plasma cutter, just to sort of cut through anything that wouldn't be able to be breached.
Otherwise, you want me to just steal up to the side of the
Bridgeport door?
I assume you want to go?
No, to the storage area. We can cut right through the side of the hull.
That thing still has oxygen, right?
It still has oxygen and supposedly a person inside the cargo hull, so cutting a hole into it would probably kill said person.
Steal around, like, with the ship, so that it opens right, so that the tube that comes off that usually goes for docking.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just adapt that to seal it onto the edge of the ship for a little bit, cut the hole in the ship, get the guy out.
Okay.
It's a temporary
No,
airlock.
It's not a bad idea.
It's a valid
actually.
idea.
No, that's very clever. You thought of that. I didn't think about that.
It's a temporary station airlock.
Yeah, that works. You get approval, I'll say. Sam, who are you taking out of the NPCs, if you're taking any of them at all?
I'll take Andy, mostly for tech support.
Andy's working on
the ship. Oh, okay.
Him and the crew chief are working on getting the radar back up.
Okay, that's a priority right now, so at least we can tell if someone's coming after us. Okay, so I'll take Boris.
Okay. Oh wow, really?
Well, he's still here, and this is nearby to our ship, and that's kind of his deal. So.
All right. So yeah, you get approval for taking Boris. Do you want to take any of your clones with you?
I'll take Bingo too.
Oh, and Bingo. Right, he doesn't need to breathe.
I'll take Gerald, I guess.
You don't
Do
need
you want
to.
me to get the Tweedledee Tweedledum minis? Because I just feel like that would be better than using the generics.
You don't need to. I just thought I'd ask.
The generic one's okay. He's okay too.
Maybe it'll become Tweedledee or Tweedledum after it has a bad reaction and turns into a plump.
Yeah, right.
So you call for Jared, and he's like, "Yes, ma'am," and you can get him suited up pretty easily with stuff, because he's the only one out of all these people that doesn't have an EV suit on standby or built into their outfit. So he goes into like a room and comes out with clearly what's like the bits and pieces of several different EV suits that he has clipped together to fit how giant he is. And then a helmet that you can kind of see through the glass that he's sort of smushed up against the edge of.
But is the suit secure?
The suit's secure.
Okay.
He's good for spaceflight.
Okay.
He gets like a pat down from one of the generic
Engineers.
crew people. Like, yep, this is as shoddy as this looks. He'll be good.
Okay.
Hope we're able to get the helmet off his head after.
In a worst case scenario, boss, I will slam my face against the wall until the helmet breaks off.
Okay.
Alright.
Loyal.
So while everyone else is preparing, I'm going to have my ship deploy about... I'm going to start with 5 of the small drones and send them over to the ship, go in through the holes
Okay.
that have been blasted into it, just to start mapping it out.
Yeah. I'll wait. So as you send that out, the drones all find little places to get in through. One does access, like an entry hatch that like enters a little room, door shuts, atmosphere is created, door opens, it goes in.
Perfect.
Some of them like filter in through different holes near the back and make their way through. But as they're standing on the inside of this, you can see that on the inside it's pretty messed up too. You see hallways with maybe ones that weren't breached, but were probably hit on the outside by shells, so the hallways are sort of scrunched in.
Nothing is untouched.
Nothing is untouched.
It's
you
pretty
see
strapped.
what would have probably been pristine, sort of like rebel flagship, pristine white walls, busted in with wiring, and an occasional dead crew member who has been horrifically maimed in a variety of different ways.
This thing was just shell-shocked with shells.
Yeah.
No,
Just fucking
you do notice
massacred.
like engineering outfits and stuff like that, but no one in coalition gear. It very much looks private. They're all sort of uniform, sort of gray-white outfits, as you see like maybe like an officer, and then like an engineer, maybe like a security guy.
Yeah, one of the drones will be hopefully making its way to the bridge to interact with your computer and find out what happened, but the rest of them are all running around to map out the whole place.
So one gets into the bridge. Turns out the bridge does actually wasn't particularly visible in that one scan that I did of it because that was a relatively low roll.
Yeah.
But there's a small crack in the primary viewing window where it was probably depressurized, and you can see
that's why they're all
you can see the
dropped.
remains of a 4th person who was probably sucked through that when it depressurized.
Damn, so they got the bridge at the end probably when they were
so-
running.
Everything is
Dead still.
it's quiet and lifeless, and some of the bodies are in free float.
Yeah. And this is probably about when you guys get down here, right?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Now we're all ready to go, so...
So yeah, you guys can see the bridge. You can see through its view. It comes out, and the little R2-D2 arm strip comes out and plugs into the computer and twists around a few times. Very Star Wars.
That works.
There's some clicking, and eventually it's able to access databanks. Although it isn't able... I'll make a roll, actually. Never mind, on a nat 20, I was going to say that the databanks were dying fast because the ship was, but on a nat 20, it is able to access the previous day's saved version of the databanks.
So that's backup.
Hadn't been corrupted via its condition
I
yet.
got the black box.
Yeah,
basically,
basically.
it accesses the black box
That's
of
exactly
the
what
ship.
it's for.
And it pulls all the info. It displays it. This is a privately owned vessel that belonged to... That's the part where I struggle with names. This belonged to Trenton Lumen, the Lunar Sector Commander. You're really the only one here who would recognize that name at all in the world, because he's basically president of the moon.
Yeah.
It's a bit of lore I haven't
Lunar
touched.
Center what?
The Lunar Sector Commander.
Oh, Sector Commander.
It's a bit of lore I haven't touched on yet, but rather than having like scattered countries with different ways of leadership, the coalition just kind of made everyone have a sector commander that's in charge, and the moon is counted as basically a country in this time span. So he's basically the moon president. But this ship was on record as being in his possession 40 years ago. Checking through databanks, you see that it left a station about 40 years ago, did not check in with anything else for those 40 years.
Oh shit. I'll share this information with everyone. Yes, some guy named Trenton Lumen. It's his ship.
Sam, Trenton Lumen is very much alive and well today.
Yeah.
He's old, but he's still the active commander of the lunar section of the Coalition Command.
So it's the lost ship of the president of the moon?
Oh, that's the president?
Yeah, the commander, the general leader.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't caught up in politics yet.
It's not something I pay too much attention to, but yeah, Trenton Lumen's still alive. I mean, this is one of his lost ships, but I mean, this damage, I can tell from...
Probably a ship that belonged to, like, his personal section of the government.
Yeah, so a former old school government ship.
And as that information comes in, the wardrobe of the inhabitants makes sense. A lot of the
The old uniforms.
to distinguish themselves from regular coalition stuff, because the moon has had identity problems for its entire existence as a home for humanity. A lot of the coalition people out there have primarily white versions of the gray-white versions, sort of like the surface of the moon versions of coalition outfits. So this is all like lunar people who were probably at the helm of this before shit went down.
But I can tell that the damage is recent.
Yes, some of it looks recent.
I mean, the bodies are floating. They haven't mummified.
A lot
yet,
of it looks
so.
recent. There are some scars on the side of it that I'll say through whatever sort of imaging, scanning, whatever, it reads as being 40 years old. But it seems like a lot of those heavy shells and like the thing that killed the engine were probably very recent.
Okay, so it was attacked recently, but was missing for 40 years.
Yeah, so we have a 40-year ship with someone who's apparently still alive in the cargo bay. This seems very reminiscent of like the last experience. So, yeah, I'm a bit overly nervous.
Have his drones reached the hold yet? Well, like on the ship.
Yeah, I'll say by this point, I'll make some rolls.
And by this point, we're probably disconnecting from the actual ship.
At this point, the mag locks are disengaged, and you're sort of shunted down into free float. The ship, whether you're piloting or the AI is, reels around the side, and if you're just at the controls, and it's basically just you're steering it, and the AI's handling all the complicated stuff.
Yep.
So you reel around the side of the anchor, and you start heading towards it in the distance. And you can see it's slowed down significantly by this point. But yeah, on a very high roll, one of your drones manages to get to the cargo hold. It sees a very full, very messy, clearly shaken around by all the conflict it had seen. A lot of boxes knocked over, some broken, it's just general technology stuff. And then in the very back, it finds, surprisingly enough, something very similar to something you witnessed today, a cryopod. Not quite the same mass-produced action figure thing like one. A lot more like the sort of one that you were in. Looks a little nicer, but
Sweet.
Similar sort of make. And
we don't have to worry about atmosphere.
And inside is a person. The details are kind of fuzzy because the cryo thing is it's like a fogged up thing with a lot of ice and whatnot, but you can see the outline of a person.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to fly right up to the edge of the cargo bay. Okay.
Sort of press up against like a wall.
I'm not even going to bother pressing up. This thing's in a cryo tube. I'm going to poke a hole to de-atmosphere it.
Okay. One of the claws comes out, and it just sort of...
Once it's de-atmosphered, cut a hole in it, and have my drones bring the thing out and right into my cargo bay.
Okay. So, cool. I don't even have to make the map transition then. So yeah, your ship basically utilizes the same stuff it uses to scavenge to just cut a hole into this.
Yeah.
And as a couple of the bigger drones go in, because these are big pods, especially this one, it's a lot bulkier.
Yeah, but there's no anti-gravity working at that point.
Yeah. So just because you're going to need a lot to actually hold on to it, even if it's weightless. So it just sends in two of the bigger ones, which basically grab onto the opposite ends, orient it like this, and then guide it out of the now carved into hull. It takes a little bit. They have to dodge and weave around stuff. As it's depressurized and the wall comes off for being sawed apart, a lot of the stuff that was just sort of knocked over goes into free float, including a body that hits the windshield of the ship.
One of the claws comes up, grabs the body, picks it up, and just kind of flings it off.
Yeah.
Wipers!
It's literally like it just goes on the windscreen.
I'll leave one of the larger drones behind.
Yep.
And one of the smaller drones behind, and pick up the rest of them, and tell the ship to start getting to work, looking for anything that's good for parts.
Okay. Yeah. So
So that way I don't have to be sitting there with it.
Yeah. So the bigger drone that's still holding onto the cryo chamber shoves it in through the. It fits rather precariously into one of the different hatches on the ship. I'll say that because it is a big pod. You actually have to have Dimitri and Lugnut come up from their little basement thing, and then it's sealed, and then the thing is pushed into the little cargo hole.
That's what I was basically figuring anyway.
And then it's sealed back up and filled with oxygen again. And then you guys can go back into there, and right next to the red comet suit, which has just sort of been moved over into a corner,
It's now a cryopod.
is now a glowing blue cryopod. A lot less fancy looking than the one that you guys found earlier today.
I
Saw
mentioned you
earlier
nothing
today.
else of note in the ship. Just that.
I have my drones going through and seeing what else is. That was the only life sign.
No more. There's no power to the ship at this point or anything, so no danger to it being an issue. Okay.
He said everything was basically powering down.
Okay.
I will say the ship comes back at this point saying that the last of the energy going throughout the ship finally puttered out, and it's now officially dead in the water.
So the only thing with energy in there are my drones.
Okay. All yours, man.
As the energy finally dies down, the ship can start getting a lot more detailed scans of stuff like that. You see the drones start heading through different sectors of the ship, collecting just things it finds and making note of other stuff. The ship's basically just managing that for you now.
Yep. Fill the cargo bay with all the good shit, and then we'll just take the cargo bay.
Yeah. Just remove the cargo bay from the ship.
It's not a horrible idea, actually. If you have a bunch of
the
drones with
tools.
cutting tools, so, I mean that's the other end of the spectrum. It takes time unless you have
Yeah,
numbers.
the cryo chamber is there. It very much just looks like a canister. It's basically a big glass tube with two things on the end.
Self-powered.
Yeah.
Sort of like those, like a big test tube, or like those little containers that some dice come in.
Are there any markings on it?
Like the Futurama cryo tubes.
No markings on it, no writing, just general, like, there's a button to press to open it back up. There's a couple of latches that are probably for the person getting into it. You can see, like, detailing about manufacturer, but that's about it. And if you were to look into it, it's just some general company that went out of business probably about 30 years back. Because cryogenics is mostly a lost art outside of the guy who makes clones and some other stuff.
Yeah.
So, let's get it back, and we'll get your medical guy to look at it.
I could let the captain know en route. I call Gilda. We might need a medical physician in the middle of.
She says she'll gear up and be ready for when you guys get back. At this point, it's still drifting, but it's probably only about a 15-minute.
I asked for an update on the radar and radio communication scanning.
As crew chief Peter comes over, he's like, "How do you think we're talking to you?"
Just making sure. Any other ship? Well, that was the other thing. Then answer
Yeah.
my question. Any other ships in the area? Because I want to make sure whatever hit this thing isn't going to start showing up on our side
No,
in 3
we
minutes.
got our radar back up.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay.
The pilot thought she might have dislodged it in the evasive maneuver.
I homunculus pride.
Oh, hey. Turns out that it was actually the only part of the ship that got hit by the oncoming projectile. It literally just tore the radar right off. So we grabbed some scrap parts. We made an improvised one, and we sent out just sort of like a general bulletin on a open comm to any ships in the area. So hopefully no one else gets hit.
Yeah, it shouldn't be much of an issue now. The ship's slow down now.
And you guys can fly on back to the anchor.
Yep.
Dock up, so
Yep.
forth.
So,
So you want to take a little break here? We've been on for an hour and 10 minutes, so it's like
Yeah.
the perfect timing.
Yep.
And we can come back and figure out if we open up the cryopod or shoot it out the... All
I think
right.
shooting it out in space would
We
be kind of mean.
continue.
They didn't do that to you, man.
on that ominous note, we'll be right back.
We'll be back in a little bit.
I mean, there's Castaway Protocol.